Hi, so today I want to clone ChatGPT. So my goal today is to do a speed run of a Figma design file that I created based on the current state of the ChatGPT official website. Just this is the logged out version. So I created this Figma file. I designed it based on ChatGPT. So I just want to go through it and kind of break down the different pieces, and kind of break down the components that are going to be created. So first of all, if we're starting from the beginning, navigation, we see that the navigation bar, oh, by the way, so there is very simple layout, is like the navigation bar, the footer, and then a main component or main part, body kind of part. That's pretty much, so the header and the footer, they are kind of a fixed height based kind of components. So I think this is kind of, I think there's 52 pixels and 32 pixels. So these are fixed height kind of components. So the main component here should have flex 1. So it should be basically filling up the rest of the space on the viewport. Next is the navigation. So the logo, of course, has a caret here, and then caret, so it's just like this little arrow. And then on the right side, there is these right buttons. So we'll be creating another. So this component here will have both. So both sets, so both two elements, two divs in this case. And it will be, space between kind of alignment, which is gonna separate both to both ends, left and right. So on the right element, we're gonna have these three components, two different sets, one set and one singled out different kind of component. This is kind of a special case of a component, I would say. But yeah, so this navigation or nav button, so these two are kind of the same button with different variations of styling. So that's what we're going to be creating. And of course, there's a gap between this, all these buttons, same gap for all of them. So next, I'll go with the footer because it's simple enough. Footer. By the way, so nav has a fixed 52 pixels height. Footer also has a fixed 32 pixels height, and it just has a simple text with links to the terms of use and privacy policy. Pretty much very simple, nothing special there. For the main body, so we have a section content which kind of creates a boundary of how wide the whole content is. So in different breakpoints, this number is higher. For the current one that I was checking, the website was 768 pixels. So for different breakpoints, this width is different. So for the current state of the actual ChatGPT on my viewport size, it was 768. So I use that as a base. I'm not gonna go with responsiveness. I'm not gonna work out those components to make them responsive. At this point, I may do a part 2 video where I go further, and then I do other more fancier stuff. But right now it's just mostly based on layout. And so yeah, so continuing with it. So the ChatGPT, this is kind of a page header. Main page header is an H1 kind of thing, because it's text as well. So the prompt area. So this prompt area is everything well, actually the meaty stuff, right? When you can actually type and so on. So so in the prompt area, you can see the section content is, of course, vertically and horizontally aligned, and this is using flex, align items and justified content. So this way you get it vertically aligned. So that's how we're going to do it. And then, so like I was saying, the prompt area is composed of two main components. One is the actual prompt input, which has a text area and toolbar, right? This toolbar has the right and the left. So it's the other way around, should be left and right, but you get the point. So left should has two buttons with icons and so on, and the left has only one button, which is the same button with slight variation. And for the last but not least buttons, I call it suggestions button. That's because kind of suggesting what else or what you can ask ChatGPT, and it's kind of it kind of pre-selects some text to put in here when you press on each one of these buttons. So yeah, so same kind of approach. You have a flex with a gap and one component, one button after the other. This is the same component. We're going to be using a reusable component for here, passing the icon and so on, and the label, and that will be pretty straightforward to do. So something to note is if you kind of go through the whole page, you see there's a lot of buttons. That's the first thing you notice. Like most of the elements are buttons, right? Like you see these are all buttons. This is kind of a button, but it's kind of a special case too. But this is also a button. And then you have these buttons here, then you have these buttons here, and you would initially assume or kind of think, well, I can just create one component, right? And then create kind of slight variations within the same reusable component and then apply it here, here, here. However, that was my first approach while designing, but then I found out that they have slight variations more than just like simply background colors and icons, enabling icons yes or no or so on. It's just a little bit more nuanced. So it has different paddings, different ways of setting paddings, and that's an interesting one. So just as an example, this button here, so it has a gap of 6. I mean, it's understandable, but the interesting bit is there is a wrapper text, right? So this wrapper is I did it just because I needed to have consistency in terms of height for when there are no buttons. So I just kind of set a set height for the text. So when there is no icon, the overall button stays the same height as the ones with buttons. Now, nothing strange with this, pretty simple. But if you compare the wrapper, I had the wrapper for that, but if you compare that with this button, and this is again, it's just taken from the website, right? So the wrapper also here, the text wrapper, and I'm using a wrapper in Figma because you cannot assign, unless someone can tell me how to do it, but I could not find a way of adding paddings on a text element. And I ChatGPT that, and then it confirmed that you cannot do it. So I wrapped the text with just a normal element. So my point is, attach has actually padding itself. So in terms of HTML and CSS or React, in terms of implementation, right, the text will have the padding itself. Like it has a padding on the right and the left, which is where's the padding? Here's the padding, 4 pixels on the right and the left, and it actually works quite nicely because it gives enough space on the right side when you have a button. And sometimes it's like I tend to see in this approach, and in this approach, you can see the gap here optically looks smaller, and technically it's probably smaller as well. So this kind of mitigates that problem. It kind of balances out the spacing much better. So my question for folks at OpenAI, like the web guys there, like, I wonder why there's two different approaches, right? Because it should be the same, like it's the same type of component. There may be a reason I'm not aware of, but yeah, so that's something I noticed. And so these buttons here are same as this. This is a good candidate to be a variation of this. So we'll be creating a slightly variation of this button to add it here. These are one single type of button, all of them. And then finally, these also have some nuances, and there's some padding differences and so on, and also going to be treated as a different component. So I have the components here. So this is the navigation button for here. So this will be these two variations. Then the suggestions button is the ones on the bottom here, and then prompt buttons are the ones inside the prompt area. Right, so I think I covered most of the things I wanted to cover. Again, my goal is to do a speed run of me implementing this design in React, in a React app, and do it live so we can see the results. My goal is to do it as fast as possible, but again, it's going to be a speed run. But I'm planning to do some kind of stopping at some points to try to explain some nuances or some things that I think may be a little bit interesting to hear and to follow through, rather than just like a single video of me coding. Let's see how much I can do that. I'll try my best, but yeah. So going to the code, I wanted to also kind of build kind of the pseudo layout here, just to show how this should be looking after being built. So the main sections here, so we've seen in the Figma design that we have 3 sections, right? One would be the nav, the one is the main, and then we have the footer, right? So basically this is the main, these are going to be the main sections, and then from here I'll be creating different set of nested components. But these are the three main sections. Now I'm gonna also have to create like a button or nav button component. Then I'm gonna have to create like a prompt component, prompt button component, and then lastly is the suggestion component, right? Button. So the 3 type of components I'm gonna have to build, and yeah, so that's pretty much the main thing. And then also, of course, the logo here is gonna be the other piece that I may need to create a component for. I'll see. When I say components, I mean React components. So I'm definitely gonna have a React component for each of these sections of the layout, plus these buttons, and of course that doesn't belong to here. I meant to put it here, and that's a button too. But yeah, I mean, it can be also here because it's part of the type of button I may create, right? Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so I'll start working with the nav first, and then I'll go in that order. These are the components I'm going to create initially. I may need to create some more, but I expect to have maybe a couple more apart from these ones. So yeah, there you go. I'll starting with the coding already. Right, so this is the result. Just wanted to show you the outcome of this implementation. So it's pretty much very accurate to the pixel, I would say. So how we can confirm that is we open this perfect pixel plugin, Chrome plugin, which allows me to sort of switch from one to the other. So this is kind of an inverse version of a screenshot from the website. I can just switch to the actual color side. So you see I'm switching from one to the other, and there's only minimum differences. So this would be my React, and this would be the actual site. In this case, the Figma, which is it's accurate with the site. Yeah, so that's the outcome. I hope you like this video, and just subscribe if you want to see more of this.